This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Turning off the taps, Olin Brewery threatens to leave Nova Scotia in the face of looming water rate hikes. A Cape Breton man charged in a fatal shooting in Whitney Pier gets bail. And learning to sail, our Jeff Douglas hits the open water.
Chance for showers moving in as we roll into Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening and overnight as the system brushes us to the south. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. The proposed rate hikes by Halifax Water are having a ripple effect in the municipality, especially for businesses. The iconic Olin Brewery says rising utility rates are hurting their bottom line and could drive them out of the province. The CBC's Taryn Grant reports.
The Olin Brewery has been operating here in Halifax for more than a century, making some historic maritime beers, including Olin Export, Schooner, and Alexander Keith's. But one company official has signaled that the brewery might say goodbye to Nova Scotia. The brewery's manager recently sent a letter to the Regulatory and Appeals Board, highlighting concerns with two proposed rate hikes from Halifax Water. On January 1st, 2026, rates could go up between about 16% and about 23%. On April 1st, they could go up again, with changes ranging from about 17% to about 25%. The proposal is currently under review by the regulator. Olin's GM is urging the board to think about the impact on Nova Scotia businesses. He says it's not just water rates, but also high power rates and other costs that are hurting competitiveness. And then he says this: as the federal and provincial governments work to remove internal trade barriers, companies like ours may move production to jurisdictions where it's more affordable. It's not clear how seriously the brewery is considering relocation. No one from Olin would do an interview.
I think it's a first step and signal. Like I said, I think it's a little bit of flexing muscles. I don't think they're packing their bags and getting ready to go quite yet.
Duncan Robertson says Nova Scotia is not a bad place to do business. He says the provincial government has made strides in the past couple years, cutting taxes and red tape.
But again, it's on the utilities to play a role here at addressing the cost of doing business, and that is a significant point that we need to address.
Halifax Water says it has to raise rates to replace aging infrastructure and cope with inflation. The proposed rate hikes are scheduled to go before a public hearing next week. Olin officials say they will not be attending, but they've made their position clear for the board to consider. Taryn Grant, CBC News, Halifax.
Halifax Mayor Andy Fillmore is blasting Halifax Water's plan to raise rates by 36.6%, saying the increase would hit households and businesses already struggling with affordability. He's calling on regulators to scale back the hike. In a letter sent ahead of hearings at the Nova Scotia Regulatory and Appeals Board, Fillmore says his office has been flooded with more than 2,000 emails from residents opposing the hike. He says the scale and impact of this proposed hike is clearly scary to those affected. Fillmore is urging that every effort should be made to limit the amount of any increase. The hearings at the board are scheduled to begin September 15th. The Davis Cup World Group 1 tie between Canada and Israel at the Scotiabank Centre this weekend will be closed to fans due to safety concerns. Tennis Canada announced the change today. The organization says that decision was made in consultation with the International Tennis Federation due to escalating safety concerns flagged by local authorities and national security agencies. It also comes after more than 400 Canadian athletes and academics urged Tennis Canada to cancel the tie over Israel's action in Gaza and the West Bank. Halifax Regional Council also announced today it is pulling $50,000 in funding from the tournament as it is no longer a tourist event. Tennis Canada says fans who purchase tickets will receive a full refund. A person charged with first-degree murder in a high-profile murder case in Cape Breton has been released on bail. 49-year-old Chris Neville was arrested and charged in the death of Jeff Pearson of Whitney Pier last month. Kyle Moore has the story.
The courtroom was packed and emotions were high as Chris Neville appeared for a bail hearing. He is the fourth person charged with first-degree murder in connection to a fatal shooting in Whitney Pier in February. On Tuesday, his request was granted.
The ultimate plan that was proposed and adopted by the judge was one where he is pledging over $630,000 of his own money and the money of his sureties and go under strict house arrest with very limited access to the outside world whatsoever.
44-year-old Jeffrey Pearson was fatally shot in his home. 3 men from Alberta were initially charged with first-degree murder. Neville was arrested in Halifax in August. Under the conditions, Neville will reside in Sackville. The residence will be under security surveillance at all times. He is banned from airports, heliports, and ferry terminals, and he's to turn over his passport within 24 hours.
A bail fundamentally isn't about imposing a punishment at the outset of the charge. It is primarily, if not exclusively, about controlling risk. There's always going to be some degree of risk with respect to any individual. Security
was tied inside and outside the courthouse as the ruling came down. The Crown admitting today the release was an exceptional circumstance.
This release plan, where we have $630,000 being pledged, is beyond anything Nova Scotia has seen. I think that was undoubtedly the strongest plan that Nova Scotia has seen, and given both the pledge, the restrictions, and the other conditions imposed on the court, we were satisfied.
Under his release conditions, Neville will have to wear a GPS ankle bracelet, which will be monitored at all times. He will be back in court at a later date. Kyle Moore, CBC News, Sydney.
There are now a total of 61 measles cases in Nova Scotia in the last 2 months. All are directly linked to the cases announced earlier in the summer in the Northern Health Zone. The latest cases were detected at the Halifax Infirmary. Nova Scotia Health says there was a public exposure at the infirmary's emergency department on Sunday, September 7th from 10:45 p.m. till 1:20 a.m. and on Monday, September 8th at the hospital's diagnostic imaging from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. We've got Ryan with the first look at the weather, and the clouds certainly started rolling in today.
Yeah, along the Atlantic coastline, those clouds were a little bit dominant thanks to that system that's brushing just to our south. Those clouds will kind of move back out, then move back in again as we move into Wednesday. Amy, thanks so much. And Wednesday will be kind of one of those days where the clouds increase throughout the day, and we will be watching those shower chances to march in from southwest to northeast kind of throughout the day, eventually arriving in the Cape Breton region and the North Shore by the time we get to Wednesday evening. You folks will have a chance for seeing some of those showers. This area of high pressure moving off to the east, and there's that system again just off to the south, and it would be so nice if it was tracking a bit further north and we could tap into this wet weather. Unfortunately, we're left watching most of that beneficial rain tracking to the south. We'll get into a few showers on the northern edge of this. That system will move out, and then for Thursday, we'll kind of see a clearing trend as it does depart. A little front comes through Thursday night into Friday, which kind of reinforces the northerly wind and kicks up a little bit more cloud cover, but overall, it looks like a pretty quiet stretch for Friday into the weekend. We'll talk about that with your full weather forecast in just a few minutes. Amy.
All right, we sure will. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Conciliation talks between Dalhousie University and its faculty association have now ended, but there's still no deal to end a lockout and a strike. The university and its faculty association met with the conciliator today and yesterday for the first face-to-face talks in weeks. The association was locked out on August 20th. They declared their own strike position days later. Most classes in the new term have been canceled. In a statement this afternoon, the university says no further conciliation dates are scheduled. Nova Scotia's minister responsible for housing says officials are taking another look at their approach to building new public housing after tenders came back much higher than expected. Colton LeBlanc says that will include looking at ways to bring down costs and speed up construction, such as using pre-approved designs and revisiting sites to ensure they're serviced and close to utilities.
The reality of today's construction landscape is the prices came up much higher than anticipated. So we are assessing sites, looking at those sites to sort of value engineer and try to drive efficiencies to deliver these projects across the province.
The province expects 51 new modular units to be complete by the end of the year, but most of another 464 units announced over the last 2 years are only in the early planning stages. The Union for Halifax Transit Operators says more should be done to improve safety on buses. New city data shows a major jump in incidents involving youth. They went from about 100 in 2020 to more than 600 last year. More young people are now taking transit thanks to the free student program for junior and senior high students. Overall, physical incidents also rose slightly in recent years, hitting about 160 for 2024. Most were conflicts between passengers, but dozens were aimed at operators. Patricio Garcia is president of the Amalgamated Transit Union's Halifax Local.
When I first started, a fight breaking out on a bus between passengers was it was the talk of the operators, because it wasn't very common, right? It's not the talk of the operators anymore. It's like, oh, there's a fight that broke out on a bus. Okay, well, that's another one that happened this week type thing. Like, that's starting to become more and more, right? And that's what's kind of scary about this situation.
A city spokesperson says Halifax Transit has increased supervisors at terminals. Halifax Harbour Bridges has issued $4.67 million in refunds to MacPass holders as it closes more than 177,000 accounts. The tolls on the McDonald and McKay bridges ended in March. The refund process will continue, and Halifax Harbour Bridges is urging those who believe they're owed a refund to contact them. In-person service at the MacPass office, as well as customer service phone lines, will be open until September 19th. Well, whether you're just looking to learn how to sail or want a relaxing afternoon on the water, there are tours across the province to get out on a boat. Folks at Sail and Sea in Mahone Bay took out the CBC's Jeff Douglas.
Hey, I'm Jeff Douglas. This is Canada's Ocean Playground. I'm flying! So we are going around the province checking out some of the amazing things that you can do right here in Nova Scotia. This is beautiful Mahone Bay. Today, we are hopping aboard a 35-foot Class A sailing yacht called the Oak Haven, operated by our hosts, Robin and Tom.
The company name is Sail and Sea, and it's a sailing experience. So we offer tours, but we also teach Sail Canada keelboat sailing curriculum.
Most of the tours are 3 hours.
A 3-hour tour.
Exactly.
A 3-hour tour.
But it's not the same experience as Gilligan had.
I'm terrified of sailing.
Okay, well, after today you won't be.
After a safety briefing and a radio check,
483 Bravo, break.
It's time to get out on the water. Our course is going to take us out toward Big Tancook and along Indian Point, but to a certain degree, really, with Sail and Sea, it's kind of choose your own adventure.
This first part, before we get to relax, is kind of a lot of work. We have to get the sails up and get the sails out.
Okay.
Do you think you can do it fast?
I don't know. We'll see.
All right, go.
Oh, take the bow. Maybe right at the end, you want to take it the other end. Woo! And we are sailing.
We are sailing. I got a little winded. Not gonna lie.
It's a lot of work.
We are out in 11 knot winds. And while I have absolutely no idea what that means, we're moving. And the scenery is killer.
Not a bad work day.
And Ton even let me drive the boat, which kind of freaked me out.
So you have to go back up.
Yeah.
You blew it, yeah?
I totally blew it. This is actually perfect for someone like me who loves the idea of sailing, but really has no idea how to do it and lacks the required skills to do it. It's also good to know that when you get totally gassed from hauling on lines and sheets and halyards and all that stuff, you can just sit back and soak in the wind and the sea and the scenery.
I think she's feeling pretty good.
Super happy.
She's purring.
And along with the stunning views, entertainment is also included.
Sailing
takes me away to where I've always heard it could be.
I'll just stick to sailing.
Wind to carry me. Soon I will be free.
Ah, that's a very familiar spot, the Cabot Trail. Ryan is up next with his forecast.
This weather update is brought to you by Access Wellness Nova Scotia. Book your appointment today for free, confidential mental wellness support.
And we've got Ryan back with his full forecast. So you're talking about some showers on tap.
Some showers. That is about it, though.
Yeah.
Some showers. Not beneficial rain. And it's, again, as I've been mentioning, the track has been just to our south over the last few weeks. And so we've been seeing the systems coming and then they just graze us. Not close enough, for sure. But at least we will be seeing at least some wet weather, and then we'll be keeping temperatures right near seasonal, so not too hot over the next few days. We'll walk you through it first. Our webcam shot for this evening. This is a new one.
Wow.
Sambro Head. bald rock.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice to have some different perspectives.
It is.
I like it.
And a beautiful evening there at Sambro Head. And you can see, the sun starting to get lower in the sky at this hour for sure. As we, rolls through September. Big changes for September for sure in terms of the amount of daylight. There's the low temperatures this morning. Parsboro got to 4. Lots of mid-single digits out there and a few double digits, of course. But we recovered quite nicely today. High temps into the 20-degree range for most. And looking at those current temps, it's still a fine evening out there. High teens, low 20s. Looking like, just a really, really nice evening for most. That cloud deck that has been basically along the south part of Nova Scotia over the last couple of hours, it is pulling away from the north. It will continue to pull away to the south, and it looks like will become mostly clear overnight tonight before the cloud builds back in tomorrow, thanks to this system that is going to be rolling, as I said, just to the south. High pressure will follow it up and dry us out. Temperatures across North America. You can see the heat continues to surge up across through Alberta and Saskatchewan into southern Manitoba. And even the Great Lakes starting to recover after that cooler stretch in through central and eastern parts of the country. Overnight lows tonight, anywhere from 9 to 12 degrees. We'll see some low-lying areas likely dipping towards maybe 6 or 7 for eastern parts of the mainland. Now, as we look at the outlook, note the hour by hour here, and that cloud will for the most part remain offshore for tonight. And then we're going to start to see those clouds building in throughout tomorrow morning and talking about some showers pushing up into the southwest, even to the Halifax area. This model is a little bit shy of where the Canadian model is projecting a few of those showers and some of the others into the afternoon here across the southwest, but it does look like we'll stay dry throughout the afternoon and even into the early evening for Cape Breton and northern parts of the province before we get into at least a chance for some of these showers to push in to this drier air. So for Cape Breton tomorrow, temperatures right near 20 degrees and that light southeast wind. We'll see a very slight risk for a shower along the eastern shore tomorrow afternoon and in through the north shore staying dry with increasing clouds up through Cobequid Bay into Truro, in through Windsor. Slight risk for an afternoon shower, Musquodoboit down through Halifax and back into the south as well. This is where we'll have our greatest risk for a shower tomorrow afternoon will be the South Shore region with those showers then again, increasing, the chances for showers increasing towards the valley into tomorrow evening as that system does near. But it looks like, again, we're just going to be on the northern edge of this. Now all that beneficial rain stays to the south over Sable Island and then for southeastern Newfoundland and the Grand Banks. This is a weak little frontal boundary that will start to move into the region on Thursday, prompting a little bit of a shift change in terms of the winds and some cooler temps. The winds wrapping around behind that system on Thursday will be dry with that drier air moving in. Temperatures right around 22 to 24 looks like for the most part. And then that front will move out. Note the reinforced northerly wind here. We'll feel the difference on Friday in terms of how it will feel, no question, with those temperatures right near 20 degrees. I should say 18 to 20 degrees, I think, on Friday. Saturday back right near 20, and then for Sunday, it looks like temperatures will start to rebound a little bit. Maybe we're up towards 22, 23 degrees, but yeah, I'm not sure it's a beach-going weather there on the weekend, Amy, but given that sea surface temperatures are right near 20 degrees, it doesn't take much to dip your feet in the water and feel pretty refreshed.
Exactly, the water's warm enough.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
PEI potato producers say this summer has been one of the worst they can remember when it comes to rain, or lack of it, that is. They say it's been so dry the potatoes have not been able to grow as big as they usually do. That has farmers worried about the harvest. Nancy Russell reports.
Potato growers on PEI say they are seeing some of the driest conditions in recent memory in fields like this one in the eastern part of the island. The harvest has started, but there are challenges.
It's unbelievable dry. It's scary dry. It hurts to see this and the size of the potatoes. It's pretty scary. There's no size to them whatsoever this year, and it's worrying for sure.
It's so dry and dusty, it's even hard to see. The irrigation sprinklers have been going non-stop here since July 1st. Andrew Lawless says the water is helping, but only 40% of his acres have irrigation. He's worried about the rest.
Yeah, there's no moisture there to help them bulk, and the ground is just like sand. There's no structure left of the soil or anything. It's very dry. We haven't had a decent amount of rain since the 1st of July, to tell you the truth. We always seem to be getting a couple of mils here or there, but never. I don't remember the last time I saw an inch on the rain gauge.
Lawless is already planning on adding irrigation for next year, hoping to cover 55% of the acres next season. But he predicts the yield this year will be down about 30%.
To me, it's the worst year since 2001, and definitely the worst year of my career. And some are saying that it's been the worst year in their lifetime.
Potato growers across the island are making that same comparison to the drought of 2001. Smaller potatoes mean smaller yields per acre, and that will mean a hit to the bottom line.
It's the financial impact. So, they need to get a certain yield. It's well over $5,000 an acre to grow an acre of potatoes, so it can be quite devastating.
Growers say the dry conditions are also going to make the harvest a challenge. The soil is so dry that it won't stick to the potatoes, which can protect them from bruising. Yet another toll the dry weather is having on the crop of 2025. Nancy Russell, CBC News, Dover.
Coming up, an expert says the hot, dry conditions this summer could help reduce tick populations in Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia's wildfires and ongoing drought may be taking a toll on the province's tick population. For more on this, I'm joined by tick expert Nicoletta Ferrone, an associate professor with the chemistry department at Acadia University. So why don't ticks like these hot, dry conditions?
So ticks are very sensitive to temperature and humidity, and they are prone to desiccation. So in conditions like what we have experienced here in Nova Scotia over the summer with a very dry environment and very little precipitation, so very low humidity, ticks most likely were affected, and they tend to be less active, so they cannot really find a suitable blood meal, so they cannot feed, and they most likely died. So the weather condition that we're experiencing, I think they help us to reduce the tick population in Nova Scotia.
Well, how much of a dent could they make in the numbers in the province?
It's hard to say because, of course, we should compare the number of ticks that through surveillance programs that been detected and collected over the past years. So I cannot give you a specific numbers, but most likely this weather condition probably helped to reduce the tick population. We will have a better understanding in the fall and next year. If we will see more ticks when we go for a hike or we go for collection for research purposes.
Now, do you think the population would be able to bounce back once the ground gets more moisture and the temperatures fall?
That's a possibility because, of course, some of those ticks may find shelter under the leaf litter to reduce the desiccation process. So as soon as we have a reestablishing of the normal environmental condition in Nova Scotia, so rains and rise of humidity, I grow back again. But of course, it's hard to say because also will depends on the availability of possible host for blood meal and the weather condition that we're going to experiencing.
Of course, we talk about ticks in the summertime, but are they a concern year-round or for most of the year?
They're usually, so the highest population, the highest incidence of ticks found active in the field are usually in the fall and in the spring. Because specifically over the summer, it's too hot and too dry for them to be around. So fall and spring are the peak season for ticks, specifically for blackleg ticks.
Now, of course, Lyme disease is a big concern, but now there are reports of Rocky Mountain wood ticks in other parts of Canada. Do you anticipate some will eventually show up here, and why are they a problem?
So it is a possibility because ticks can migrate also indirectly, can be brought by animals and birds. And considering also the effect of climate change and the change in environmental condition, ticks there are usually found in the south of North America, can also be moved up north. So it might be a possibility. So it's important always monitoring the presence of new tick species. Researchers are active on this. So we're trying to understand if new species can be introduced in our environment.
Now, researchers at your lab have been looking into the potential for a tick-killing fungus. I'm just wondering how that is going.
So we are we're soon to publish our findings, and the next step would be to try to find a suitable concentration of this natural fungus and possibly to produce a formulation that might be used for field application in the future. So we're still in the phase of researching, but it's very exciting and it might be a good tool for tick management.
Any idea when this might be available to the public?
It's hard to say. It will take some time in terms of the registration through Health Canada. So we are still in the discovery phase, but I hope soon.
In the meantime, you've been looking at lemongrass essential oil as another area. Do you think that's something we could use in the meantime?
Lemongrass specifically is not an active ingredient registered through Health Canada, so it needs to be first approved and registered in order to be used by the public. However, there are other essential oils that have been also found effective at repelling ticks. So there is, of course, a lot of possibility in the realm of natural product and essential oils that can be really effective at protecting us against tick bite as an alternative to synthetic repellents.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time on this today. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming up, the Israeli military launches an airstrike targeting Hamas leaders in the Qatari capital, Doha. And book ban backlash. Alberta is revising its policy on which titles will be allowed to remain in school libraries. Welcome back. Hamas says its top leaders have survived an Israeli-targeted strike in Qatar's capital. The strike on a territory of a U.S. ally in the Middle East is seen as a shocking escalation. Black smoke billowed over the skyline of the capital city of Doha. Hamas says that while the senior leadership survived, 5 junior members were killed in the strike. A delegation of the militant group was there to discuss ceasefire deals proposed by the Trump administration. Qatar has been a key mediator between Israel and Hamas during the 23-month-long war. The strike could further complicate negotiations over a ceasefire in Gaza and the release of Israeli hostages. Qatar is condemning the strike as a violation of international law. The Trump administration has offered an official response to the Israeli strike in Doha. U.S. officials say they were alerted before the attack, but stopped short of endorsing it. The CBC's Aaron Collins has more from Washington.
The White House between a rock and a hard place today. That tough spot coming after one ally in the Gulf region launched an attack on another. Israel launched its airstrike on Qatar. The attack targeted Hamas leaders in a residential area of Doha. Hamas says those senior officials reportedly in the Gulf city negotiating a ceasefire with Israel survived the airstrike. The White House says that while it condemns Hamas, it doesn't condone the attack by Israel.
The Trump administration was notified by the United States military that as Israel was attacking Hamas, which very unfortunately was located in a section of Doha, the capital of Qatar. Unilaterally bombing inside Qatar, a sovereign nation and close ally of the United States that is working very hard and bravely taking risks with us to broker peace, does not advance Israel or America's goals.
The U.S. says that it immediately notified Qatari officials when it learned about the attack. What remains unclear is how exactly the U.S. military caught wind of it. What is clear is that the airstrike, which was quickly condemned by Qatar, is a blow to peace negotiations. That country had been playing a key role in mediating ceasefire talks. Still, the White House remains optimistic, saying the attack could provide an opportunity to move those talks forward.
The president has always made it very clear that he wants peace in the Middle East, just like he sought that and accomplished that in his first term. He expects all of our allies and friends in the region, that includes both Qatar and Israel, to seek peace as well, and he wants to see that happen.
All this as Israel's military ramps up its efforts to take over Gaza City, part of its nearly 2-year-long response to the attacks of October 7th by Hamas that killed more than 1,000 Israelis and started this conflict. Finding peace no easy task in that part of the world. This morning's airstrike also comes a day after a gunman killed 6 people in Jerusalem. Hamas has claimed responsibility for those killings. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Washington.
A Russian glide bomb has killed 24 people and injured 19 others in a village in eastern Ukraine. Ukrainian officials say it happened as people stood in line to collect their monthly pensions. It has prompted calls to step up the pressure on Russia by imposing more sanctions. Anna Cunningham reports, but first a warning, some people may find the details and images in this story disturbing.
The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has shared a post on the social messaging app Telegram. In it, he describes this as an aerial bomb. He says the victims were ordinary civilians. They were older people out collecting their pensions. Now, this is said to have happened in the village of Yarova in eastern Donetsk. CBC News has not been able to independently verify the footage. What you see are bodies scattered around trees and close to a burned-out vehicle near a playground, and on the ground are papers, clothes and shoes. This is an area of eastern Donetsk. It's about 8 kilometers from the front line, and it was previously taken by Russia but then retaken by Ukraine. Moscow claims this area as part of Russia despite not having full control over it, and it's also an area that Russia wants as part of any future peace deal with Ukraine. Now, in President Zelensky's post, he describes this as a brutally savage Russian airstrike. These strikes must not be left without an appropriate response from the world. He's urging that response to come from the United States, from Europe and the G20. And he really is asking for that pressure to be put on Russia to accelerate the end of the war. Whether he will get that from President Donald Trump remains unclear. On Sunday, he said he was not happy about the latest Russian strikes on Ukraine. He did repeat his threat to impose more sanctions on Russia, but for now, he is yet to formally confirm if he will follow through on his words. Anna Cunningham, CBC News, London.
Anti-government protests in Nepal are becoming increasingly violent, even after the country's prime minister resigned and the recent ban on social media was lifted. The CBC's Crystal Gamansing looks at what's fueling the rage now.
Engulfed in smoke as the Nepalese parliament burned, anti-corruption demonstrators celebrated. They succeeded in forcing Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli to resign Tuesday, along with 2 of his cabinet ministers. To our now former Prime Minister, I must say that the resignation from your post is not enough, says this student protester. Clashes between mostly young demonstrators and police continued even after the government lifted its ban on social media. Protesters want an end to what they say is a corrupt government rife with nepotism and unwilling to address a failing economy. At least 22 people have been killed and hundreds injured. Nepal's army accuses protesters of taking advantage of the crisis by looting and setting fires. But ignoring an indefinite curfew, protests intensified.
People are just furious.
Nirnaya Bata witnessed the anger on the streets firsthand. He says the social media ban lit the fuse.
I think the need now is, utter sincerity, from the state, from the government, and anybody who actually is at the helm of, running the country.
Nepal became a democratic republic in 2008. In the process, thousands died as political groups fought the monarchy, the police, military, and each other for control. Nepal's Army Chief of Staff noted the bloodshed past and present as he called for unity, asking demonstrators to cancel future actions and engage in talks. Crystal Gamansing, CBC News, London.
The Alberta government has revised its guidelines for books it says should be removed from schools. The update follows backlash over previous rules that might have affected some classic novels. Julia Wong has the latest on the guidelines and the reaction to them.
A new chapter in the drama over books in Alberta schools, as new rules from the province narrow the scope of offending titles. The Alberta government now says materials containing any explicit visual depiction of a sexual act will not be available to students, such as drawings, paintings, or photos.
Any material that includes visual depictions of sexual activities, that's our concern and has always been our concern from the very beginning.
Written explicit content can stay on the shelves, so can anatomy books. The new rules come after CBC News obtained a list from Edmonton Public Schools of books it would have banned under the previous rules. Those included classics such as The Handmaid's Tale, Brave New World, and I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings.
Edmonton Public is clearly doing a little vicious compliance over what the direction is.
On top of more specific criteria, the new rules now cover all grade levels. Reviews are mixed.
It makes no sense. I mean, first of all, as many of us know, our imagination is great. So to say that descriptions of sexual acts are okay, but visual depictions of them are not okay is a phony distinction.
Honestly, anyone who pretends that this is censorship is really saying that they should have the right to show sexual images to other people's children without their parents' consent.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is walking a fine line to appease a broad base, says this political expert.
This could have been a lot simpler and less complicated and less public and less embarrassing for the government had they dealt with it in consultation with teachers and schools.
It isn't clear how many titles will be affected, but school boards must submit a list of books they plan to remove by October 31st, and those will need to be off the shelves by January 5th of next year. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
It's a long way until the Academy Awards in March, but this is the week when public audiences get to first see some of the movies that might compete. Here's the CBC's Eli Glasner with the inside track from the Toronto International Film Festival.
So let's start with Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, the third movie in the series starring Daniel Craig, and the third to have a world premiere in Toronto. With the new trailer, you can get a sense of this murder inside a closely knit church community.
He then, in plain sight of everyone, walks into a sealed concrete box. And 30 seconds later, that man is lying dead.
It's a pretty impressive cast. You might spot Kerry Washington, Jeremy Renner, many others, but perhaps the story of Knives Out #3 is Josh O'Connor as a priest working with Benoit Blanc, who just might steal the film away from Daniel Craig. Now let's move to another TIFF favorite, Rental Family, starring Canadian Brendan Fraser.
So, what do you think we do here? We sell emotion. How? We play roles in clients' lives.
From director Akari, based on a true story, these are real businesses that operate in Japan. Brendan Fraser plays an American actor who starts to play roles filling in gaps in people's lives. So he becomes a reporter interviewing a famous actor and a long-lost father meeting his daughter.
I hate you.
Reviews are somewhat mixed, but as we saw with the Whale movie, few actors come close to Brendan Fraser when it comes to channeling emotion and empathy on screen. TIFF could be the start of another Oscar campaign for him. We'll have to wait and see. Finally, one of the most anticipated titles in Toronto, Frankenstein from Guillermo del Toro. Now, there have been many Frankenstein films, but for del Toro, who grew up obsessed with the creature, he's delivered a story that is dark, but also romantic. Expect to see a lot of buzz about Jacob Elordi as the creature. He spent 10 hours a day in makeup preparing for the role, but still, he said this was the most comfortable filming experience he's ever had, a testament to del Toro. Eli Glaster, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, strength in the energy sector helped Canada's main stock index finish slightly higher on Tuesday, while U.S. markets also saw gains. Here's a look at the numbers as we head to break.
This weather update is brought to you by Access Wellness Nova Scotia. Book your appointment today for free, confidential mental wellness support.
All right, back to wrap things up. So you mentioned earlier that the days are, dare I say it, getting shorter.
Yep.
But you know what? You get to see the sunsets sooner.
That's true.
Right?
Yes, even earlier. And you know what? Last night's sunset had a lot of buzz. I don't know if you caught it. A lot of you did. The inbox was plumb full this morning. 18 pictures just of that sunset. Of course, so just one here this evening. It's so hard to choose. But a beautiful one nonetheless from Risser's Beach. And yes, terrific shot there.
Yeah, that is really nice.
The reflection off the water. Dennis, thank you so much for sharing this. Ryan's picks at cbc.ca. And speaking of sunset, yeah, another nice sunset out there right now. This is a live shot from Halls Harbor. And yeah, the sun setting again earlier and earlier, but another beauty for tonight. Tomorrow, expecting, we'll probably see still the sun being set along northern parts of the province as that cloud will continue to build in. Southern areas likely to be pretty cloudy, I think, by this time tomorrow, and even some showers starting to work their way in. It's thanks to that system, which is just offshore. There's that wet weather that will kind of crawl into the southern parts of the province late afternoon into the evening, and it will just graze us with some of that wet activity into Thursday as well. That chance for showers will then pull away. Cape Breton will be last to clear on Thursday. Slight little frontal boundary comes through into the Thursday night, Friday time period, basically reinforcing those northerly winds. And despite that, temperatures look okay on Thursday, likely 18 to 20 degrees, but not as warm as the next couple of days will be. And then we're going to be looking at Saturday, Sunday, pretty quiet conditions with some sun, some cloud, and maybe an isolated shower again Sunday night. But overall, pretty dry stretch here yet again.
Familiar tune.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was a bizarre traffic stop that ended with handcuffs and a ticket. A Prince George man was stopped by police after driving a child-sized Barbie Jeep.
The CBC's Andrew Crietta has more on the slow joyride that made the rounds online.
You're really arresting him for driving a kid's Jeep?
That's right. On Friday, a Prince George man was pulled over and arrested right here after he was seen driving a child-sized pink Barbie Jeep down this busy road.
I just wanted to get a Slurpee. I got lazy. I didn't want to walk.
Now, Casper Lincoln says he was using the sidewalk until he came to a closed lane, and after that, he turned right. And that's when he was pulled over, prompting disbelief and a few memes. But Laura Kyla says driving any car without a license and insurance, even a toy one, is against the law.
The law is very clear. Toy cars constitute motor vehicles if they are powered by some sort of an engine. Nobody wants to hit somebody in a Barbie car, and drivers aren't looking for Barbie cars in the roadway. So it is a serious safety issue.
Police say they also found the driver had a suspended license and later blew over the legal blood alcohol limit, which is why he was taken in. Lincoln doesn't deny these charges, but says he had no idea he was breaking the law.
I only going like 3 clicks. Because I did my hand signals and everything.
But he's taking it all in stride.
Model number, Barbie Jeep. Color pink.
Andrew Crietta, CBC News, Prince George.
Expensive Slurpee.
Yeah.
That's it for us tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.